There's a kind of discipline that never breaks. Not when you're exhausted. Not when everything goes wrong. Not when you want to give up. And today, you'll discover the ancient system that creates unbreakable warriors. Have you ever wondered how shinobi managed to survive alone for months in the mountains? How they trained in secret for years without anyone knowing? How they kept absolute discipline without apps, reminders, or motivational coaching? The answer has nothing to do with willpower. It has to do with something they called Ninpo, the way of the invisible warrior. And when you understand the 5 pillars of the system, you realize that the discipline you've tried to build up until now was built on sand. The shinobi understood something about human beings that modern science only discovered years later. Their brains weren't designed for discipline. They were designed for survival. And that's exactly why their systems work when everything else fails. But it comes at a price. This path doesn't accept those who just want to try. It demands sacrifice. Sacrifice of the weak version of you that breaks your own words. Before I show you how this system works in practice, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future content. Thank you very much for your attention. Back to the video, Chapter 1, The Failed Boy, Feudal Japan, Eager Prefecture, 1540. There was a 14-year-old boy named Teacher, whom everyone in the village knew by the wrong nickname, Teacher the Lazy. This kid had dreamed of being a shinobi ever since he first saw the silhouettes moving across the rooftops at night. But he had one huge problem. He was pathetic. He woke up every day, promising to train. Today, I'll start. I'd do 3 push-ups, get tired, go eat. I'd promise to meditate. I'd sit for 2 minutes. My mind wandered. I'd get up. I'd vow to practice with a wooden sword. I'd strike 5 times. My arms would ache and I'd stop. The pattern was always the same. Monday morning. Today is the day. Monday afternoon. Maybe tomorrow will be better. Tuesday. I completely forgot I had promised anything. His father was a blacksmith, a practical man, callous hands and no patience for dreams. Teacher, shinobi are legends. Ghost parents invent to scare. Children, you will learn my trade and stop this nonsense. Tishi's father knew that shinobi existed. He also knew that there was a secret school in the mountains. He knew the location of this school, but he never told the location to his son and always pretended not to believe this story because he didn't trust his son and wanted him to get the stupid idea out of his head. But T-shirt couldn't stop. Every night, he looked up at the mountains where the secret school stood. Every morning, he woke up thinking, what if I really try this time? And every afternoon, he gave up again until the day everything changed, but not in the way he imagined. T-shirt was returning from the forest. After another day of training, 20 minutes of playing with twigs, when he saw a man standing in the middle of the path, an ordinary guy, plain clothes, nothing special except for his eyes. Those eyes seemed to see right through him. You want to be a shinobi? It wasn't a question, it was a statement. T-shirt felt his blood run cold. I was just, you were wasting time again. The man took 2 steps forward. How many times did you promise yourself today would be different? Silence, because T-shirt knew the answer. Hundreds, maybe thousands. Come with me. The man turned and began walking toward the mountains. If you can keep up with me, I'll show you where the school is. If not, you go home and accept that you'll be a blacksmith for the rest of your life. T-shirt looked up at the mountain. 3 hours of steep climbing. He'd never been able to do anything for 3 hours straight in his entire life. But something about that moment was different. Maybe it was the clear truth in the man's voice. Maybe it was the fact that this was probably his only chance. Or maybe it was simply that he was tired of being weak. I'll go. The first 20 minutes were bearable. At 40, my legs started burning. An hour into the climb, my mind started screaming the same old excuses. This is crazy. You're not cut out for this. Come back tomorrow. But the man kept walking without looking back, without slowing down, without saying anything. 2 hours later, Teacher was crawling, hands and knees on the ground, tears in his eyes, his whole body screaming for him to stop. And in that moment, he understood something that would change everything. The pain didn't matter. The tiredness didn't matter. What mattered was the decision he'd made down there at the trailhead. He'd said he would, and warriors keep their word. Teacher managed to get up and kept walking. 3 hours and 15 minutes later, Teacher reached the top. He fell to his knees, vomited, and passed out. When he woke up, he was inside a temple. Dark wooden walls, the smell of incense, complete silence. The man was sitting in front of him. You completed the first lesson of Ninpo without even knowing it. Welcome to the Koga School. Chapter 2, The Death of the Weak Self. Teacher woke before dawn to a bell ringing. Not a gentle alarm clock, a bronze bell that seemed to shake inside his skull. He looked around. 15 other young men were already standing, wearing identical dark clothes, staring straight ahead. The master, the same mountain man, stood in the center of the hall. In Ninpo, there are no attempts. There are only 2 states. You are or you are not. From that moment on, you are students. Students wake up when the bell rings. No negotiation. Teacher looked out the window. It was still dark. But sensei, what time? The master cut him off with a look that could melt metal. Questions are thoughts. Thoughts create hesitation. Hesitation creates death. The bell rings. You wake. The end. The first week was torture. The bell rang early. Meditation incomplete. Silence for an hour. Hard physical training for 2 hours. Strategy study 4. Another 2. Practice stealth techniques until dusk. Sleep, repeat. Teacher wanted to give up every single day. But here was the difference. He couldn't, because in Ninpo, when you walk through the door, you don't make a promise to yourself. You make an oath in front of everyone. On the first day, each student had to stand before the entire group and say, I am a student of the ninja way. My word is my life. If I break my word, I am nothing. The entire school heard it. 15 other students heard it. The teacher wrote it in a book. Identity changed in that moment. Do you understand what happened there? Teacher didn't promise to try. He declared himself. And when your identity changes publicly, your basic brain sees failure as death in the group. Our ancestors who lost the trust of their tribe died. They were kicked out. They couldn't survive alone. Your brain still works exactly this way. When you say something publicly or to yourself and fail, an old part of your brain sees it as a danger to survival. Shinobi knew this hundreds of years before brain science existed. I'm not saying they understood it in a science way, but I'm saying they understood it in a thinking way. Their thinking was don't break your oath. On the 3rd day, Teacher woke up with his body wrecked. Every muscle screamed. His mind right away began, you're hurt. You need rest. 1 day won't make a difference. He looked around. All the other students were already on their feet. No one was complaining. No one was arguing. And most importantly, if he stayed down, it wouldn't just be him knowing he'd failed. It would be everyone. The shame of breaking the oath. In front of everyone was much stronger than the body pain. He stood up. 5th night during dinner. One of the students whispered, Man, we can't do this. This pace is going to kill us. The master heard. He stood up. Take your things. You're expelled. The boy turned white. But I didn't do anything. I just said, You have shown doubt. Doubt is poison. In Ninpo, thoughts are actions. You have acted against your oath. Leave. The student left. He never came back. And no one at the school ever complained again because everyone understood the oath was not just for show. It was the base that held everything. But teachers soon found that the oath only solved half the problem. Because even with the group pressure, even with the fear of being kicked out, he was still fighting. An inside war every single day. It was then that the master taught the second pillar of Ninpo, the principle of unchanging rhythm. Chapter 3, the rhythm that doesn't break. You know that quiet torture that plays out in your head every morning. Should I work out now or after breakfast? Should I wake up at 5 or 6? Should I do it today or tomorrow when I have more energy? You think you're being flexible. In truth, you're wasting brain energy on small choices that weaken you before you even begin. The master called teacher after 2 weeks. You're still hesitating. I see it in your eyes every morning. Teacher was surprised. But sensei, I get up every day. I've never failed. Standing up is not enough. You are still deciding whether to stand up. As long as there is decision, there is weakness. We must kill decision. The master explained, in true Ninpo, time is not changing. It is constant. The bell rings in the morning because the world needs constants. When you remove time as a choice, you remove arguing. Your body is dumb, said the master, but it's a dumb body that learns patterns. If you wake up at a different time every day, your body never knows what to expect. It fights you every time. But when the time is the same, every day, your body starts getting ready before the bell even rings. Teacher didn't believe it until the 3rd week. On the 19th, he woke up shortly before the bell. His body had learned to do so. On the 25th, his eyes opened naturally 2 minutes earlier. On the 30th, he was fully awake, feet on the ground, mind clear before any sound. His body had made an inside clock, not because he was special, because the pattern was unbreakable. But the fixed schedule only solved when to wake up. Teacher found a new fight, what to do during training. Some days he wanted to focus more on strength, others on speed. Sometimes he felt like going rock climbing. Other times he wanted to work on sword skills. His mind had found a new way to argue. Since he couldn't argue about when to train, he began to argue about how to train. The master saw this too. You are creating mess where there should be order. In Ninpo, we practice kata perfect, form repeated forever. And then he explained something that sounded crazy. For 100 days, you will do exactly the same training order, same moves, same order, same number repeats. No. Change 0. Teacher was confused. But sensei, won't I get bored? Won't I stop growing? Boredom is the ego fighting change. And you only grow when the practice becomes so automatic that your mind can finally see the hidden details. Chapter 4, the form that frees. I'll tell you what no one tells you. About variety. You think variety keeps things fun, but variety is really where discipline dies. Every day you change your workout. Your brain has to make small choices. Should I squat or run today? How long should I spend on each exercise? Which skill should I practice first? Every choice is a crack where your old habits leak. Back in, teacher began his personal shio period. 100 days in the same way. The order was hard. 50 push-ups, 100 squats, 30 minutes of sword practice, following specific kata, 20 minutes of breathing skills. The same order, the same place, the same time every single day. First week, his mind screamed for something new. This is stupid. You're human, not a machine. Change things, or you'll go crazy. By the second week, the other students were starting to say, man, you're turning into a robot. Where's the fun, the self-expression? The master listened and laughed. Fun without base is just messy chaos. You want to express yourself. First master the form. Only then will you have something to express. The 3rd week was pure mind war. Every day, teacher had to fight. The voice that said, do something different today, just for today, just so it doesn't get boring. But he remembered the student who was kicked out. He remembered the oath. He continued the form. In the 4th week, something strange started to happen. Mental energy got weaker. Not because teacher got stronger, because energy wears out faster than discipline. His brain realized he had no way to bargain. No matter how many times it screamed for change, the answer was always the same. No. Finally, the brain stopped screaming. Week 6 was when the magic happened. Tisha was in the middle of push-ups when he realized he wasn't thinking. His body was moving through the order on its own like water flowing along the path it always had. It wasn't boredom. It was freedom. Freedom from control of constant choosing. 8th week during sword practice, he noticed for the first time a tiny detail in his wrist movement. Something that would have been impossible to see if his mind had been busy choosing which skill to practice. The master was watching. Now you see, when form becomes automatic, mind can finally pay attention. A brain scientist at Kyoto University who has been studying the automatic of actions for 18 years has found something new. When you repeat an exact order of actions for about 66 days in the same setting, the basal ganglia take over control of the movement. The prefrontal cortex is freed up for higher functions. The action becomes as automatic as breathing. On the 45th day, Tisha got a fever. His body was weak. His head was heavy. Everything hurt. The temptation was clear. I'll skip today. No one trains when they're sick. I'll come back tomorrow when I'm better. This is where everyone gives up. Where you gave up before because you believe the all or nothing lie. If I can't do it perfectly, I don't do it at all. If I can't do it fully, I wait until I can. This thinking seems smart, but it's really the quiet killer of any steady habit you've ever tried to make. Tisha went to his master. Sensei, I'm sick. Should I rest today? The master looked at him as if he'd said the dumbest thing in the world. Rest is different from giving up. If you need true rest, rest. But you're not asking about rest. You're asking for permission to make a gap. What's the difference? A river never stops flowing. During a dry time, it becomes a small stream. During a storm, it becomes a flood, but it never stops. The moment it stops, it is no longer a river. It is just a hole where the water used to be. Your practice is the same. And then the master taught the third pillar of Ninpo, Muku, practice without gaps. Are you? And the master was right. As Tishi's name grew, people's reactions changed. Some admired him, others feared him, but most reacted with something between discomfort and anger. He's not normal. No one needs to be so disciplined. That can't be healthy. But Tisha had learned something important. When your discipline scares others, you're finally at the right level. Normal people get normal results. But warriors, true warriors, work on a different level. A level where I can't doesn't exist in the words. One day, Tisha was training in the courtyard at 4 a.m. when a group of new students walked by. One of them muttered, "Man, that's scary. He never stops." Tisha listened and smiled because he remembered the boy he was 5 years ago. The boy who couldn't do 3 push-ups. The boy everyone called lazy. That boy was no more. And in his place was a warrior. Ninpo doesn't make you a better person. It makes you a different person. A person others will look at and think that's not human. And when you hear those words, you know you finally killed the weak version of yourself. Because you see, the system isn't hard. It has 5 pillars. First, ketsui, the public oath. You stop making private promises that no one knows about and start making public sayings that change your identity. Not I will try, but I am. Second, the unchanging rhythm. You choose a fixed schedule and remove time as a choice. Your body learns a pattern. The arguing about when disappears. Third, kata, the perfect form. You do exactly the same thing every day for at least 100 days. No change, no fun, just repeat until the practice becomes automatic. Fourth, muku, practice without gaps. You never make a full gap, no matter what. Emergency, short version. Illness, half practice but never zero, because zero breaks steady movement. Fifth, zeni, prior preparation. You list every possible problem, and decide your response ahead. When X happens, you do Y. No thinking, no arguing, just doing. These 5 pillars changed T-shirt from a boy who couldn't do 3 push-ups into a shinobi who did impossible missions. Not because he got stronger, because he killed the part in that waited. And now I ask you, are you ready for this kind of change? Because I'm not going to lie to you. This path isn't comfortable. It's not easy. It's not for those who just want to get a little better. The Ninpo system will require you to sacrifice a version of yourself. The version that argues, the version that waits, the version that has 1,000 excuses about why today isn't the right day. And in that person's place, a warrior will be born. Someone who doesn't need cheap motivation, because cheap motivation is. For those who are still deciding, a warrior is someone who doesn't break promises, because promises are part of identity, not part of a to-do list. People will look at you differently. They'll call you obsessed. They'll say, you need to relax, that you're overdoing it, that this isn't healthy. Great. That means you're on the right track, because the discipline that scares others is the only discipline worth having. The discipline that makes people uncomfortable is the only discipline that makes amazing results. The question isn't whether the system works. The question is, do you have the courage to commit fully? Don't try. Don't test. Commit. Choose a habit. 1. Make your public pledge. Choose your fixed schedule. Define your perfect form. Commit to 100 days without gaps. Decide every problem ahead. And then watch what happens when you stop arguing with yourself. T-shirt wasn't special. He was just a weak boy who decided to sacrifice himself so that a warrior could be born. You can do the same. If you like this video, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell to get future content. Remember, discipline is only bad when there's little of it. If you've made it this far, thank you very much for your attention. Until the next video.